Hello to all. So the next topic that I am taking is arterial thrombosis. It is important topic for the practicals, as well as sometimes question are asked in the theory also. So let's start. So thrombosis of the artery, it is caused by certain factors which are commonly known as the Burgos triad. So normally the hemostasis in a vessel is maintained by the endothelial cells, the platelets, and the coagulation mechanism. But sometimes the thrombosis occurs in the blood vessels, and it is because of the three factors, out of which most important is the endothelial injury. And endothelial injury can in turn be caused by certain conditions like hypercholesterolemia or inflammation. Then the second important cause is the turbulent blood flow or the abnormal blood flow, and it can be caused by stresses, uh, and other cause can be atherosclerotic vessel narrowing. And third important point is hypercoagulability of the blood. So there can be increased tendency of coagulation in the blood vessel in some conditions, like the most common inherited condition for hypercoagulability is factor 5 Leiden mutation, and this is an important question for MCQ. While in the acquired causes, the disseminated cancer can be there. So there are various other important causes for hypercoagulable state, like antithrombin 3 deficiency or protein C or S deficiency. These are also the causes of hypercoagulability, and the acquired causes can be prolonged bed rest or atrial fibrillation, then prosthetic cardiac valves, DIC, etc. So all these factors can lead to the thrombus formation, and these are together known as a Burgos triad. So these three factors are very important and often asked in the viva. So thrombus can develop, clot or thrombus can develop anywhere in the cardiovascular system, and the size and shape of the thrombus vary depending on the underlying cause and the vessel that is involved. Like a saddle thrombus is formed in the pulmonary vasculature. Then the thrombi, they are focally attached to the underlying blood vessel at the point of initiation. So this is important point, that wherever thrombus is formed, it is attached to the underlying endothelium, and at that point the endothelium is disrupted also. And another important point is that after it get attached to the endothelium, it will propagate. In the next step, it will propagate. So the arterial thrombus, they tend to grow retrograde, that is against the direction of flow of blood, and the venous thrombi, the thrombi which are formed in the veins, they propagate or extend in the direction of the blood flow. So ultimately both these thrombi, they will propagate or grow in the direction of the heart. Now propagating portion of a thrombus, the thrombus when it is growing, the end, that is the propagating portion, it is fragile and it is often poorly attached, so it is prone to get fragmented and embolize to other vessels of the body. So these are the general points about the thrombus. Now regarding arterial thrombus, so arterial thrombus, they are frequently occlusive, but also a point is that the arterial thrombi, they don't occlude a artery completely in the usual cases, while the venous thrombi, they generally completely occlude the blood vessel. So this is an important differentiating point between the arterial thrombi and venous thrombi. So they are occlusive, but they don't occlude the vessel completely, while the venous thrombi, usually they occlude the vessel completely. Secondly, the important sites for arterial thrombi are the most important is coronary vessels, which often lead to the myocardial infarction. Then cerebral vessel can have arterial thrombi, can lead to cerebrovascular accidents. Then femoral arteries, they can also have arterial thrombi. So these are the most important vessels in decreasing order of frequency that are involved by the arterial thrombus. Now next, the arterial thrombi, they are composed of platelets, fibrin, red cells, and degenerative leukocytes. This is very important. So microscopically you will see all these four components, and out of these, in the arterial thrombus, platelets and fibrin, they are very abundant. while the venous thrombus, they are rich in the red cells. Now, important cause of arterial thrombus, the most common cause is rupture of an atheromatous plaque. So this is the most common cause of formation of arterial thrombus, and other causes can be vasculitis and trauma. This will lead to the endothelial injury, and this will stimulate the procoagulant effects of the endothelium. Now next, very important, these questions are often asked in Viva, the differences between the antemortem clot that is formed in the living being and the clot which is formed after death. So antemortem clot, it is pale and it is firm in consistency, while the postmortem clot is like a gelatinous mass, and it is in the color you can see that the lower part of the postmortem clot, it is red in color because it is due to gravity the RBCs settle at the bottom, so the lower dependent part will have a red color while the upper part is yellowish in color, and that resembles a chicken fat. So we say that in the upper part there is yellow chicken fat appearance while the lower part will be red. Then second is the antemortem clot is caused by the endothelial injury or turbulent blood flow or hypercoagulability, while postmortem clot is formed by the stagnation of blood after death. Now another very important point is that, as I already told you, that the clot or thrombus, it is attached to the vessel wall at the site of initiation, while the postmortem clot is not attached to the underlying endothelium, and so when this clot is removed, the underlying endothelium will be smooth, while in the antemortem clot the underlying endothelium will be rough because it is disrupted at the site of attachment. Lastly, very important, the lines of Zehn, they are present in antemortem clot while they are absent in post-mortem clot. The lines of Zehn, they are formed by the alternating layers of fibrin plus platelet and RBCs. So one layer is pale and the other layer is red. So these alternating layers, they form the lines of Zehn, and these are the finding in the gross as well as microscopy of the arterial thrombus or antemortem clot. So this is very important. I will be explaining the coming slides. Another important difference that is asked is between the arterial thrombus and venous thrombus. The thrombus can form in both of these, but arterial thrombus is commonly formed because of the endothelial injury or rupture of an atheromatous plaque, while venous thrombus is commonly formed due to stasis of blood. Secondly, arterial thrombus has more platelets and fibrin, so it is also known as white thrombus, while the venous thrombus has more RBCs, so it is called a red thrombus. Very important point, the sites, coronary, cerebral and femoral arteries, while venous thrombus, they are very commonly seen in the leg veins. Now arterial thrombus, it grows retrograde, as I already told, against the direction of flow of blood and towards the heart, while the venous thrombus, it grows antegrade, that is towards the direction of heart or the flow of blood. Next thing is the arterial thrombus, it will cause the occlusion of blood, but that occlusion will be incomplete, while the venous thrombus will cause complete occlusion of the blood. So these differences are very important and very often they are asked in the Viva. Now lastly, the gross and microscopy. So I told you that lines of Zehn, they are seen. So there are alternating reddish layer followed by this pale layer, then red, then this pale layer, then again the reddish layer and the pale layer. So these alternating pale and red layers, they form this pattern, and it is known as lines of Zehn. The pale layer, it is formed by platelet and fibrin, and the red layer, it is rich in the red blood cells. Along with this, in the microscopy, WBCs will also be seen. Now significant of this lamination, as I told earlier, that it will tell us that this clot is antemortem. It was formed while the person was living, while if a clot is formed after death, postmortem clot, then it will not have the lines of Zehn. So it is an important differentiating point between the antemortem clot and postmortem clot, and this is important for MCQ as well as Viva. Now we come to the microscopy. So in microscopy, you just need to understand that the thrombus is formed in the attached to the endothelial layer, the intima, intima, and at the point of attachment of the thrombus, the endothelium will be disrupted. So this is a diagram. This is the tunica intima lined by the endothelium. This spindle shaped cells having this oval nucleus, and this is the thrombus. Now this thrombus will have the lines of Zen, and I told you that lines of Zen, they are formed by the pale and red layers. So pale layer is formed by the platelets and fibrin. These thread like things are the fibrin, and this alternating with the RBCs. So these red circular structures, they are the red blood cells, while these are the leukocytes. These are like neutrophils, so they will also be present in the clot. So these are the lines of Zen. This pale pink and this red layer, they form the lines of Zen. This is the internal elastic lamina. Then this is the tunica media, made of smooth muscle cells, and outermost is the fibrovascular connective tissue of the tunica adventitia. Now this is the arterial thrombus, and in the venous thrombus there will be more RBCs, while lines of Zen will be present in both arterial thrombus as well as venous thrombus. Again, this is a picture of a carotid artery. So you can see this is the thrombus, and this is the residual lumen. Now this is a diagram which I have drawn, and again shows the thrombus attached to the endothelium. This is the media adventitia. This is the residual lumen. Now lastly, the fate of the thrombus. If a thrombus is formed and the patient survives that initial phase of thrombosis, then in the coming time, in the coming weeks, these fates can occur in that thrombus. So it can, first of all, it can propagate. That is, there will be accumulation of additional platelets and fibrin, and it will increase in the size. And next is embolization. So I told you earlier that the propagating end of that thrombus, it is prone to fragmentation, and when it fragments, then it can travel to other blood vessels in the body also. That is known as embolization. Third is the dissolution. So dissolution is because of fibrinolysis. So the fibrin in the thrombus, that will undergo fibrinolysis, and that will lead to the shrinkage and later on disappearance of the thrombus. So but this fibrinolysis occurs in the recent thrombus, because in the older thrombi there occurs the cross-linking of the fibrin. So because of that, the fibrinolysis becomes difficult, so they are resistant to fibrinolysis, and this point is important in the clinical settings, because like in a case of myocardial infarction, the patients immediately like the salvage time is important, so it should be taken immediately to the hospital. So for the administration of the fibrinolytic agents, because they will be effective only in the initial phase of the thrombus, because in the later stage the fibrinolysis becomes difficult. So it is important to give medical help to the patient who is like having thrombosis of the blood vessel, like coronary vessels. So in the initial phase, these agents, fibrinolytic agents like tissue plasminogen activator, so they can be given in case of myocardial infarction, coronary thrombosis. So this point is important regarding the dissolution of the thrombus. And lastly, the thrombus which are old, so they can become organized. And what happens in organization, there is proliferation of the endothelial cells, smooth muscle cells, fibroblastic cells, so they grow, and also recanalization can occur. So capillary channels, they will form inside that thrombus, and when these process of organization, recanalization occur, so this thrombus becomes like a small mass of connective tissue, and it just gets attached to the vessel wall. So this is all the part of remodeling of the thrombus. So see, these are the 4 important fates, and these are also often asked in the exams. So propagation, embolization, dissolution, and organization. So thank you very much.